Holy Oblivion. This is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 25. We're back, spiraling out of control, talking all aspects of FlyQuest as we react to the most recent Proving Grounds results and another O2 weekend for the LCS team, but with some success, plenty of success actually, for our Smash duo. My name is Sandy Toes, although tonight I'm going as Doomer Toes. And to my left and my extra left, my fellow hosts, as always, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Nox, I know you just said that we're going to have to keep the Proving Grounds segment short tonight. Otherwise, you're going to get a little livid on the broadcast.
Some salt, yes.
Yeah, some salt. Well, we will have to, keep things contained, keep things understanding. Maybe do some mindfulness, some meditation tonight.
Try and showcase some greatness by keeping it nice and calm and collected.
Exactly. Curly, welcome back. Not that you were gone anywhere, but good to see you again.
Glad to be here, yeah.
And, I think for you, my question is, what was a bright spot from your weekend? Because didn't really have any otherwise. And I'd like to hear something from somebody.
Bright spot from my weekend. I guess no. I saw my best friend who moved to New York back in March. She was in town this weekend, so that was pretty cool. That was nice.
That is good.
And then immediately after that, the Fly CLG game happened. But I didn't get to watch that, so
yeah,
still okay.
Although you did review that on your stream
I did review
tonight,
today,
right?
and actually, I'm not mad about that game. But no, and then also last night just ended up watching Despicable Me in a Discord with some homies. So it's it's fun to just not worry about LCS for a minute. I'm
mildly disappointed that it wasn't the Minions movie, considering the recent rash of memes that have.
I was working when they were watching Minions Rise of Gru. It was very, very sad for me.
Well, you can't always get what you want. So, and just like that saying, you can't always get the 2-0 for FlyQuest Academy. Although you can get it one time. And last week. And I do want to note, as we kind of segue into our discussion of Proving Grounds, so that is what we're going to hit first, as that literally just happened. Let me quickly note, if you can't catch all the discussion tonight, the VOD will be available here on Twitch and also on YouTube on our channel Flight Check Podcast. Audio version will go up on your favorite listening platforms as well. So, Proving Grounds dropped to the losers bracket after dropping to Dignitas literally in the last 30 minutes. But a convincing 2-0 over Golden Guardians Academy this past Friday. So, some good, some bad. Let's start with the good, because we do want to talk about Golden Guardians Academy. They did make a last-minute shift, and Spyrax ended up having to play into a Blaze Olive, which I would assume that FlyQuest would have gotten that news ahead of anyone else, ahead of it getting released to the public.
Well, Golden Guardians Academy had to play Evil Genius's Prodigies in the play-in round, so
they would have seen it.
ABO had already played a round in Proving Grounds.
Okay, so they would have seen that at least the day before, or a day or two before. So
yeah,
if they didn't know about it ahead of time. But I do want to say about this series, Spyrax did really well going into ABO. I thought he stepped up in this series a ton. That Yasuo play was something else.
Linked on his Twitter, by the way, from his point of view. Seriously, go watch it.
Yeah, if you want to go check that. Let me find the what his at is. It's at
Spyrex. Hold on, I got it.
Spyrex141 is his Twitter, and you can see from his POV how that basically 1v9, if you will, went. So that was...
I linked it in our Twitch chat, and for audio viewers, listen to Sandy and go to Twitter.
Yeah, just go to Twitter. But it was a 2-0, moved us to round 2 of Proving Grounds. And, it looked good, and it gave me a lot of hope for the Dignitas series. So a bit unfortunate there. But I just want to hear from you, Nox, just thoughts on that Golden Guardian series before we move on to today's matchup.
Game 1 was very back and forth. Blazeala was trying his damnedest to carry, but Spyrex basically just said no. So that was very nice to see. Game 2 was very much FlyQuest to lose, and then they did a little bit of throwing, and then they clutched it, and then came back and they 2-0'd it. So it was a little shaky overall, but I mean, overall, it was a 2-0 series, and considering it's a Blaze Olive, like, I was very happy with the results and how it turned out. So I wasn't going to nitpick too much. I think it was just overall very, very solid, and Spyrex really put the team on his back for that series.
Yeah, I think I want to highlight again the comms in that video that Spyrex put on his Twitter. Really clean. It just was a really good play all around. And it just felt like a natural continuation of the scaling that we had been seeing at the end of the season. The 6-0 final week in Academy, straight into the 2-0. Spyrex has to go up against like an LCS caliber mid laner, and he just proves it out. So, excuse me, choking on my own saliva. You never like to see that.
Worse can this weekend get? Sandy dies from choking on his own saliva.
Dear Lord.
FlyQuest goes 0-5.
The Nationals traded Juan Soto away. It's just like nothing is nothing good is happening. So let's move on to the matchup from the last couple hours. Dignitas. Whew. Oh man, this was frustrating.
Our coordination was just bad. Our coordination was just not
it was
good.
just a very frustrating matchup. And I don't know. I mean, what do you even say? Like, so unfortunately the scoreboards are not up on Lolpedia yet. But so many times the Academy team today reminded me a little bit of the LCS team, ironically, and not in a good way, where so many chances, a lot of opportunities, but then like one bad team fight and it all just went to hell. Game 2 I felt was especially frustrating, and Nox, I know you shared that frustration because Kumo got so ahead on the Kale. We had 7 kills by, mid-game. Kumo had all 7 of the kills. And he's on a Kale. Like, from that point on, you should just win. I think I just heard some thunder.
Actually, yeah, I did hear some thunder.
Yeah.
I just heard some thunder. Unless it was outside my window.
No, it's certainly mine.
Because it is also supposed to storm here. So that's interesting.
I was actually going to say, I think Curly was doing a fantastic job of explaining in our Discord earlier of what was very frustrating about Kumo being 7-1 and us losing.
Oh man, yeah.
If you want to explain that, Curly,
I will gladly go in on that. Yeah,
before you do,
yeah.
Is the thunder the Volibear that Perry was playing earlier? I mean, maybe could be.
Who knows?
Still echoing.
But so like, I'm not saying that Kumo lost this for FlyQuest because there's a lot of other things that did happen. Like it was like I followed up like maybe I'm just focusing too much on the Kale thing because like it was also sloppy positioning, getting caught out, it like not being together, etc., etc. But like you take a 7-1 Kale and you get to level 15 pretty quickly, and you still only died once, and then he stopped farming for a long time. And once you hit level 16 at Kale, you usually have a lot of power, especially if you're 7-1 and you have 3 items. And it's like he kept not actually getting that level 16 power spike where you get your permanent exaltedness and like the extended attack range. Like there's so much that he's just missing out there by not finishing it. But then also, I have a few issues with his build path. Kraken makes sense to me. I think Kraken's a good call for Kale, especially if you're trying to like pop the Kench pretty quickly, pop the Braum pretty quickly. That's fine. I hate the Phantom Dancer. Phantom Dancer is a big waste to me. I think your second item should be Nashor's usually so you get that mixed damage, especially because the AP applies to your Exalted Waves and your E splash damage. And then on top of that, it's just more attack speed because like when you're playing Kale and you're building Kraken, at least what I want to do is I want to get my Kraken true damage out as much as I possibly can. So that means I just got to go like just bam, 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 bam. I got attack speed out the ass. And so everything I'm getting is attack speed based on the Kale. I'm not getting the IE. The IE works with the build path he was going for, but it didn't do enough. So it's like I think his build path was just a little questionable, but I'm more frustrated with just the fact that he stopped farming. Because I think if he gets to that level 16 before those last two fights, he can make such a difference in them just by being able to be exalted the second he's there and by being able to do a lot of damage to the entire team.
Yeah, I felt some of my frustrations from both games. Getting caught out. Spyrex in the game 2 when he got caught against the wall near his tier 1 in River. I don't know if he failed the flash. It was in the moment.
He did. He failed the flash.
Yeah. So he failed the flash and just gets caught out. And I feel like there were multiple moments where we got picked and that just led to so much for the other team. And I also felt like in both games, Dig got Baron, and it was just kind of over after that. Like, there wasn't even a chance of a comeback. Like, we tried, but there wasn't anything there for us to go after. So, yeah, frustrating loss for sure. Nox, I know you've got thoughts. So let's hear it. I know this is fresh in your memory. So I want to hear what you've got to say. What were a couple areas specifically from this series that stood out to you as problem points?
This series more than anything, shit. I mean, straight up, it's just there was no team coordination. There was no synergy. There just wasn't. People were getting picked. There was just no macro either. I mean, you have a 7-1 Kale, right? Who has Kraken Slayer, which is fine, and in fact is actually very good into the Ornn. Why are you not just sticking that Kale into a side lane and letting them farm like Curly was suggesting? Like, let them get to 16. Let them be a side lane threat.
Yeah.
You will not ever be able to 1v1. Like, it doesn't matter who it is on Dig. It doesn't. Like, it could be the Zinzao. It could be the Talia. It could be the Jinx. You will not 1v1. You're going to have to send multiple members to go handle that Kale. Multiple. There's no way around it. In which case, then you just cross-map play it. And so, even if Kumo's not playing the best, the amount of gold and resources that were into that champion at that point in time, Dig has to respond with more than one person, in which case Fly should be able to cross-map that, and instead it's them getting picked, it's them trying to take 5v5 fights, which, I mean, I kind of get it in a sense like, oh yeah, we have a 7-1 KO, we should win any fight, right? Like, I probably get it for the first, like, 2 fights. But then it just kept happening. Like, you're losing the 5v5s. It's like, okay, clearly this is not happening. We don't have the coordination right now. Kumu, get your butt in the side lane. Force some side lane pressure. We're going to macro this out because clearly we can't 5v5. But, like, it was just literally the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something to change, and nothing was changing.
Right.
Nothing. I don't know. What's frustrating is, like, also Loyota came into town today. Like, usually that's a buff for the guys. Every time Loyota's coming into LA, like, FlyQuest has had a general surge of improved gameplay. So I don't know what happened today.
Yeah.
I hope whatever happens, I don't think we play again until, I want to say, Friday. I may be wrong on that.
Hang on. I've got it right here.
Either way, like, there's time until we play again. And I hope whatever the hell happened today, Soul Strikes, Loyota, and the other staff can really, like, help the guys figure it out. Because, I mean, even when we were slumping, like, in kind of like weeks 5 and 6, we didn't look this bad in game 2. I don't know what the hell happened today.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to repeat what I said in the Discord, but I was not happy with what I just saw.
I think, based off of Lawpedia, I think we next play August 17th, which is a Wednesday. It's the second match of the day.
We don't play for a long time.
Yeah, you got a week. You got a week and a half.
Time to work on our shit.
Week and a half to work on stuff. I think we will play the winner of Cincinnati Fear and TSM Academy.
Yes, we will, because the bracket flips. Yeah, so it will be winner of Fear versus TSMA.
Yeah. So, there's that. We would play, if we win that, the team would then play one of Taco Gaming, 100 Thieves Academy, and... it might be... Well, shoot. I'm not actually sure who it would be, but it would...
To delve too far into it, we'll have another podcast before we get to that point.
Yeah,
we'll worry about it next week.
So anyway, guaranteed top 12 now, but that's not quite what we're looking for. Looking at Proving Ground Spring, I want to see where we went. Yeah, so we ended up making it all the way to top 6, I think.
Yeah, we lost to Immortals in a Game 5.
Yeah.
It was kind of one of those, like, you could tell the guys weren't that experienced in best of 5s. They were very tired, and Immortals kind of ran them over in Game 5. It was a solid series, though, and I was still very happy overall.
I do remember watching that series. This is now the second Proving Grounds in a row, though, where Fly Academy gets knocked out in the second round of upper bracket. This is not a good trend. Now I'm going back to like 2021, and I'm going to look.
We have never made it past this round. Like, I tweeted it on our Flight Check account. FlyQuest has
you're right.
Past round 2 of the upper bracket.
Ironically, we lost to in last summer's Proving Grounds. Lost to Dig Academy in a 2-0 in round 2, and in the spring we had gotten beat by Evil Genius Academy. We play Dig Academy in Proving Grounds like all the time. I don't know how this keeps happening.
That's ridiculous, man.
But we 2-0'd them 2021 spring. We got 2-0'd by them 2021 summer. Hang on, now I'm just going to like go through all the 2022 spring. We 2-1'd them. And then now we just got 2-0'd. So it's 2-2 in terms of series score. So we clearly need one more to see exactly who is the superior academy team.
Sandy, I feel like you're going through your like Mr. Incredible in the cave moment. Just, we keep facing Dignitas over and over.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get into Cincinnati Fear and TSM Academy next week because we'll know who we're playing. But any final thoughts on Academy before we move on to the other half of the FlyQuest org?
Maybe if Dig Academy or Dignitas sells their LCS spot, we never have to face them.
Oh, that would be
that's a route.
That would be the Galaxy Brain move. Maybe they could.
They
All right.
already shredded their staff for meta. Let's see if they just get rid of League altogether.
Yikes. All right. Week 7 in the LCS did not prove much better for the LCS team. So starting with Saturday's match against Team Liquid. I cannot get the topic to be in the middle. It's driving me crazy. It keeps
Don't look.
It keeps snapping to the
Hold control while you're moving it.
Oh my god. That saved it. All right. I know how to stream.
On today's podcast, I'm learning how to do formatting.
Learning how to use OBS. Sandy learns a new trick. All right, Week 7 recap, Team Liquid. Let's get into it. So this game, tough one. Not even close to the banger that was Sunday's match. A clean... Someone's door just got knocked on. A clean 33-minute win for Team Liquid, unfortunately. I'm not sure where to start with this one. It was a slow game for much of the match. I think there were only 2 kills by 20 minutes, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
I felt like we played to Team Liquid's game. I felt like we played to their strategy instead of trying to do our own. Nox, I think you had said something about Jose did one gank top and called it a day in terms of being proactive around the map. I feel like after the heights of Player of the Week for Takui, he and Jose have not had a strong past 2 weeks. And I am not sure if you want to corroborate that or argue differently, but this team has basically been, or had been, kind of the Takui show for 5 weeks or so, and had put us in a 7-4 spot, and arguing for we're a top 4 team, and now 2 weeks of tough play by our mid jungle duo, and we're down to 7-8, possibly looking like we're just going to repeat the 9-9 from spring and finish 6th again, and probably go up against a very tough Team Liquid or CLG, depending on how things go. So, in playoffs, I mean. So thoughts from this game from either of you, whoever wants to jump in first. But, I mean, that's my takeaway, is that we played to their level in terms of their speed, and just severe lack of proactivity and energy, almost, in this game.
So, currently, if you want to go into more detail on CLG, because I never got a chance to VOD review CLG, whereas I did for TL. Does that work?
Oh, we're talking CLG? I thought we were talking TL.
No. I was going to take TL, and if you want to go into depth on CLG, is what I'm saying.
For sure. I will gladly deep dive CLG.
Okay. So there's a couple things going into this TL game, right? First off, this is the first time this split that Jose has had to deal with 3 losing lanes. That is not very typical for him to have to deal with. Usually, most of the time, Tuke has lane priority and is winning lane. And in the few rare occasions where he's not, the bot lane has been winning and has had priority there. And even then, more recently in the past couple weeks, there's been a lot of resources being given to fill up in the top lane, and he's been winning there. At some point or another, Jose has always had options. This is the very first game this split where all 3 lanes were losing. And that comes off of Team Liquid's level 1. I even quoted this in the Discord. It was like, this is an amazing level 1 by Team Liquid. They came in, blew Johnson's flash, got wards on the Raptors where Jose was planning to start his jungle pathing, and then immediately went topside, did a full clear down to bot, did a brilliant flash over the Dragon Wall into the Tribe Rush to negate any vision that Fly had put down, because obviously Fly's going to put down early ward vision to try and get around the obvious fact that Johnson has no flash. Came in, got the gank, bot lane's immediately behind. Took actually messed up, and I don't remember the exact time in the game, but it's right at when both him and Bjerg got about 18 CS. Took tries to get the wave shoved into the turret so he can get it back and get his first buy-in, and Bjerg just completely denies him of the ability to. And Took goes completely can't shove the wave in, and basically he's just like, well, I'm SOL. And so basically, Bjerg freezes the wave, Took has to go back anyway, and Bjerg has control of the lane from that point on anyway. And then you have Bwipo and Philip on the top side, who Bwipo has a counter pick and Olaf into the Gwen, immediately loses the trade level 1, and then Philip's behind the whole time. Jose has no options this game to work with. And so you can see him try and do like one little gank top, isn't very successful with it, and that was it. And so you kind of got to ask yourself, like, well, what does Jose do? And the conclusion that I came to, and maybe you two have differing opinions, or maybe you guys will share my sentiment, but at that point, because you have 3 losing lanes, you just have to take a high-risk, low-reward choice. That's what you have to do, because otherwise, you have this exact game where you just slowly get choked out, and Team Liquid just strangleholds you into the victory. So, and for me, watching this, I wish Jose, or maybe even the team, because I don't know how the communication works exactly, would have communicated that at a certain point in time, our bot lane started winning again against Hansama and Core JJ into this Lucian Nami lane. And I don't think the team ever recognized the fact. Because if at any point the team had realized that, I wish Jose would have started putting more priority into the bot lane. And maybe that would have been our route to carry, but Jose never really went for it. So yeah, like my final thoughts on it is I wish Jose would take the time to realize that sometimes you just got to go for the high risk play, man. Like, because otherwise you just get games like this where you get chokeholded out and you're done.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the draft because it's not yet on the on Lawpedia. If we can get there.
There wasn't anything super bad about this draft. I think the main questionable thing was like the B1 Wukong. I think there's other things you could have higher priority on, but it's not like, damn, dude, why did you pick B1 Wukong? Like, it's not a bad pick, but I think there are better things you could do, especially if you're going to prioritize it, and then Jose does not utilize it at all in that game, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what Philip played into the
Gwen.
He played Gwen into the Olaf.
Well, what were your thoughts on this matchup, Curly? The Gwen into the Olaf.
I hate Olaf. Olaf hurts. Olaf sucks. I felt I watched that and I'm like, oh no, I know what Philip's going through, and this is so much suffering. Because Olaf can just do so much to you, even as Gwen. Even with the sustain that Gwen is supposed to have, Olaf can just absolutely chunk and have the most ridiculous amount of sustain. We saw it with Blabber last week. And I was saying this, even though it took a while for Bwipo to actually get a kill, he was in control of the game the whole time. He was never once out of control. And it was I think that's a huge... a lot of it is the champ itself. I think it's also Bwipo just had a very hot weekend. So, real rough.
I can't pull up the pick ban order because it's not on Lawpedia or even Oracle's Elixir. I had to go to Games of Legends, and they don't have a...
No, I got it for you.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious. Did we pick the Gwen into the Olaf, or Olaf
no,
counterpicked?
Yeah, it was round 3 for them.
I wonder if, because I'm looking at the bands, and we start out with Trundle, Callista, LeBlanc. It's very spread across, 3 different roles. And we end up banning the Sivir Draven, presumably because Hans hadn't picked his AD carry yet. But I wonder if I wonder if the Trundle ban was really the move here, and I know this is a very specific direction to take the conversation, but I wonder if maybe we could have spent a ban on Whippo, maybe banned the Olaf, maybe banned something else.
I think ban Whippo over Hansam at the very least. I think the Trundle ban against Santorin is a good call.
Yeah, I mean, with Santorin, his Trundle is the scariest champion from my opinion. I think you should ban it against him.
So ban the Trundle, maybe ban a top laner. Would you guys still ban the LeBlanc? Is that the move, or?
So I know LeBlanc was banned, or not banned, sorry, buffed on this patch. I don't know how much she's been buffed, because, she's seen some play, right? And she hasn't looked bad, but she hasn't looked disgusting or anything either. Right. She's just been a solid pick. So maybe I'm assuming that has to be a scrim thing, right? Or scrim rumors or whatever it may be. So I can't say. I would say out of all the picks, though, I would have maybe swapped the LeBlanc, but I don't have the information. I could absolutely see a world where Bjerg's just been smurfing on people with LeBlanc. I don't know.
Yeah. But I don't think this is inherently a draft diff all too much, because yes, a lot of it was off the back of Olaf, but it's kind of the issue run into playing against Whippo, where you look at his champ pool and you're just I don't know what he's gonna pick, man, because you could ban anything meta, and then he'd pull out something you wouldn't expect. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the only person to ever pull out Teemo in the LCS and still potentially win lane, because that's just the kind of player he is.
Right.
So.
And ultimately, we did call. We did
call this as an L.
We unanimously called this as an L. So, are we too surprised? No. Am I disappointed in the way it went down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that is a key distinction that I want to make, is that I'm just disappointed by the way the loss occurred. So, with that, unless you guys have anything else you want to say about this game, move on to the CLG match, which was infinitely more wild than this Team Liquid game.
Oh my gosh, man.
So let's get into that. Just to start off, what I want to say is a couple words from my girlfriend, actually, who watched the game with me. She noted around the time that the kill score was 16-16, she said,
is a wild thing to say.
She said, and I quote, "This is way more kills than normal, right?"
He's not wrong.
It's true.
And the other thing she said earlier, and I told her this would go on the show, so credit to her, was that they... Oh, man, now I'm going to misquote it. But it was something along the lines of, they allowed way too many kills, and they need to tighten it up. And you know what? I agree. We did allow way too many kills, and we do need to tighten it up. And I think this game, for me, came down to the team fights. And I feel like we got out-team fought in this game. I don't want to say this was a draft loss, because I actually liked the draft. But...
We disagree, but I'll finish your points, though.
Sure. I like the Sivir Leona The Zoe is a little questionable for me, but I like the Trundle. I loved the Fiora pick. I wish it had been able to do more work. The Zoe is maybe the only question mark ping for me out of this. But we've got a split pusher, tanky jungle, scaling bot lane, and then yes, the Zoe is kind of like, and then Zoe. But otherwise, I liked this draft, and I felt like it came down to the team fights, where we picked our fights, how we executed them, and I mean also just like Palafox. Honestly, he's smurfed. I know his KDA is like 7, 6, 9, but I still feel like he really smurfed in the late game, and it was tough to go up against him. So that's my feelings on this game. There were a lot of moments where we could have won, but just the team fight execution just was not there in critical moments. So, yes, Curly, I think we're handing it over to you as the man who VOD reviewed this 51-minute banger less than 2 hours ago. So please take it away. Give us your thoughts.
So there's a lot of things to unpack with this, especially because it did go 51 minutes. But I'm going to kick it off first with the draft, because I do somewhat agree with you. I think part of it, because we were able to get to this late of a game, did come down to the draft diff, and the fact that, in my opinion, it looked like CLG had a lot more of a sustain and DPS draft, whereas we had a burst draft. And it was a lot harder for us to burst them because of the amount of shielding and healing and etc. that they were able to have that late in the game, especially with an Ocean Drake. It just made it very hard for our comp to work to its fullest ability. So for me, the question mark ping actually does come to the Fiora, and I'm actually I pretty much have the opposite assessment of you. Question mark the Fiora. Love the Zoe, because I think Takui on Zoe is very, very good. I think he was a huge portion of why we were able to succeed in the team fights we succeeded in, because he either landed huge Qs that softened it up to begin with, or huge Qs that deleted them to start to just make it happen. Whereas the Fiora, I didn't see as much presence from Philip on that as I've seen with other champs. It was tough for him to get his alt procs off, and even a couple of times I did see him get all the alt procs, but he would still go down because he was in the thick of it, so that's, for me, was a little bit of a question mark. He did do a good job though in the early game to me of still applying pressure, because Philip, I've noticed, likes to be aggressive as much as he can. He was constantly keeping Dokla out of lane. It was really, really good. So that's the draft assessment. Macro was a very tough thing for me with this, because in some aspects, I think Jose Dioto particularly had some really good moments. At first, I was skeptical of him sacrificing a couple jungle camps to try to get to the bot side, but then it ended up working pretty well, because the lanes were able to just have a good flow where he was still able to be ahead of contracts for the first 10 or so minutes of the game. He got the first Drake. It's it wasn't until the mid game where it's all right, everything the junglers did in the early game doesn't matter anymore. And it's about who sets up better for Herald and Drake fights. And each team took turns doing the better setup. And so it was really it was hard for me to really assess, are we being worse, or is it just, all right, we're playing to this side of the map, so now they get all that, And towards the end of it, what I will say this is a positive for this, and I think what made it go so long, is there were a lot of moments where FlyQuest didn't pull unnecessary Hail Marys like they did last week, where they had their moments, they saw them, they took them, they got the 2 or 3 kills they could, and they didn't follow up anything further than that. They just took the objective or the map state that they were able to free up. So that, I think, is a huge, huge plus for FlyQuest, and a major part of why they were able to keep the game going to 50 minutes. But at the end of the day, what really kind of made us die slowly I think was Dokla had a ridiculous amount of split push power that we were never able to answer and didn't mirror. And then I think it was just like while both teams were dancing around, waiting, like skeptical of who's going to get the better setup for like late game Baron fights or a big Drake fight, CLG was able to do more little things and push tiny advantages to open up their windows that ended up being the WTP at the end than we were. So we didn't put enough effort into giving us better game state when everyone was unsure of what was going on. So yeah, that's my deep dive into the CLG game.
I feel that I keep using the phrase "I feel," but I think it's
We're in our feels today, damn it.
we're in the feels.
Yeah. No, this is all our feeling.
I think that the ending play with the backdoor, where we kind of got baited a little bit.
Just a bit.
I don't know if we would have won anyway, which just makes the backdoor loss all the tougher. But I could see it coming. They kept getting Barons. They kept winning team fights. The team fights felt close, just like, not close enough.
Well,
So,
another thing, too, with those team fights is I have to commend Contracts for using Poppy ult very effectively almost every time. Because he either, if it was a fight for an objective, he got Jose Diodio away, so the smite, like, there would be no smite fight. If it was just a general scrap in the jungle and there's nothing really quite for it, he got, like, the biggest threat away. And so it was like he did a really, really good job of keeping FlyQuest separated with his ults.
No, I think that's a good point. I think Palafox was still like the player of the game for CLG, in my opinion.
For sure.
But Contracts did do pretty well. Nox, your thoughts on this game? Curly just gave us the deep dive, but I'm sure there's a couple things that you noticed that you want to point out.
I'm not going to add too much because, I think both you and Curly have added enough, or just the right amount, rather, I should say. My main thing was, in fact, I'll just read from my notes really quick. FlyQuest versus CLG. There's a lot of stuff to nitpick on this, but honestly, both teams played well. I think because of how close this game was, I'm going to say the actual difference came down to what the draft was. I think FlyQuest's draft isn't all that cohesive with itself. You have 3 champs in Sivir, Leona, and Trundle that want to go in. You have 1 champion that kind of wants to focus on split pushing in Fiora, and then you have 1 that wants to kind of sit back and just poke at people with Zoe. You have 3 different things that you really want to do with this comp, and none of them really want to work together all that well. Not that they can't, but it's just not as easy to execute. And that kind of brings me to my point of, I think this game is very winnable if we have a team comp that can more properly team fight. If you have something other than Zoe in the Fiora that can actually get in there and properly team fight instead of being zoned out of the way or having to find like proper angles with the poke, I think FlyQuest actually wins some of these team fights, and the game very quickly sweeps in the other direction. So while there's a bunch of stuff to take away, I think Curly and you both did a good job of summarizing it, so I'll leave it at what you guys said. But that's my one really big hit that I wanted to say was, I think this draft could have been better, and the guys actually executed it fairly well, but because of how hard to execute it is, that's why we lost.
No, I think that's a good way to summarize it. All right, so heading into the final week. Week 8, Super Week, is here. 3 games remaining. Standings update. We are sitting at 7-8, sole possession of 6th place. 1 game behind Cloud9 because they also O2'd this weekend. But basically 3rd and 4th are probably out of reach, barring something absolutely insane, I think. So let's get into talking Week 8. 100 Thieves, Immortals, and TSM.
Whew.
Some bangers. We are basically short of top 8 in all but like.
There's a 0.01% chance.
Yeah.
That we miss top 8.
I mean, what would it have to be like?
We have to go 0-3.
Yeah. Immortals and Golden
3-0.
So does it Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians.
Yeah, and Golden Guardians have to go 3-0.
And then I think because we're actually then we'd just be out. That's all that needs to happen.
Yeah. So good times. But
except we should have the head-to-head to Golden Guardians.
Well, so that's where the tiebreaker situation comes in. Because we have that tiebreaker, we would be a three-way tie scenario.
No, it's just Immortals has to go 3-0, and then TSM has to go like what 2-1. Because I can't.
Three teams need to pass us for us to fall into ninth place. So we are guaranteed.
It's a 0.01% chance. We don't need to calculate how it's going to happen.
We're guaranteed to not get 10th. So there's that for you. So here's what I will note. I think we can talk about like our actual predictions. I feel like popular sentiment will say it's going to be a 2-1 weekend, dropping to 100 Thieves, and then beating Immortals and TSM to close it out. If that is the case, that is a 9-9 week, or 9-9 split, which is exactly what we had in spring,
yeah,
and 6th place again, which they noted this on JLXP, Jat and Raz did today, where it's weird seeing if that were to be the case, because it feels like there's just been dramatic improvement from FlyQuest this split compared to spring, right? And I think we would all agree.
Yeah.
But for it to just end in a 9-9 6th place again might be a bit tougher. Now, do I think playoffs might be a bit of a different story this time around? I think there's a possibility for that, but it would depend on who we play. So, let's get into, unless you guys want to say anything about that, we can get into previewing Week 8.
I will say this, I think the 9-9, like, even though it feels weird, you have to look at the other teams that have also dramatically improved. Like, CLG, way different than their spring split, so it's like, sure, we improved, but a lot of other people did too.
Yeah, very fair. All right, here we go. The flight check presentation is on. Let me get a little bigger for us. Here we go. All right. Oop. Didn't mean to do that. All right, cool. So, 100 Thieves. They're the first opponent of the weekend. Oh, they look good. They are on a 7-game win streak. They've gone from 5-3 to 12-3. And looking at it, they've got the 1-1 with EG, so there might end up being a... who knows? Depending on how the weekend goes, we could see a tiebreaker for first place between 100 Thieves and EG. That would be a total banger, and I'd be super down to see that. But before that happens, though, they're going to have to get through us. And, I mean, I'll start off, and I think that they probably will. Now, I will note, we did beat them earlier this year, so it is not out of the question. But, like, just thinking about it, they are on such a upward trajectory, and we are on a downward trajectory. They passed us going up the hill while we were tumbling down, and I just think that's how it's going to roll. So I'm punching in 100 Thieves dub to start out our weekend. Noxwar, heading to you next, sir. Your thoughts on the 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest game?
You know, so last time this matchup happened, we played the 100 Talk guys. FlyQuest Academy also played 100 Thieves. And we lost every single one of those games. But then FlyQuest won the actual game, right? That's what really matters.
Exactly.
Right? We didn't play those guys, and we haven't played 100 Academy, so I think in this case it's going to be 100 Thieves win. we
It's like because we won't sacrifice the int ourselves, so they're gonna have to take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
I
haven't
love
made
the
our
logic.
sacrifices, so
I love the logic.
100 Thieves are going to win this.
Makes sense. Curly, 100 Thieves versus Fly, and then start us off for the Immortals match.
Sure thing. So with 100 Thieves, I've realized that there is a law. The law of 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest is that we are only ever allowed to go 1-1. And so, since we already got our dub out of the way, we're gonna have to lose this one. Hate to see it. Sucks. But they're also, like, 100 Thieves is just... They wake up at the end of summer 2 years in a row. I don't know what's up with that.
They do.
Like like someone says, "Hey, Abadag, there's only 4 weeks left in the split." He's like, "Oh shit! All right, hold on.
Oh,
let me play the game."
Crap! I gotta play. I gotta up it. Yeah. No, I will say quickly about 100 Thieves. I have them and EG going 1-2. I don't know which order that's going to be, but I can guarantee you they will be our 1 and 2 teams heading into Worlds.
I think it's 100 Thieves is gonna. I don't know if they're gonna win playoffs. They've got a high likelihood in my book, like they probably will, but they're definitely gonna be first of the regular split. Like I'm doubling down on that.
There you go.
As for Immortals,
you can clip that, 100 Talk fans.
As for Immortals, I am so nervous about Immortals because every time I say we should absolutely beat them, and every time I talk bad on Revenge, somehow he plays super well against us, and somehow we lose. So I'm going to very humbly say that it is going to be a challenging fight against Immortals, just because for some reason those Spartans will not go down without a fight. But we will soar above them and get victory in the end somehow, some way, someday.
There you go.
Doesn't he play for 100 Thieves? Anyway. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on Immortals. We should win. I hope we win. I'm not going to be arrogant about it.
There you go. Nox, hit us with your thoughts there.
Did you guys know that we are 0-3 to Immortals this year? This year, to Immortals, who has been, well, I guess in spring they weren't like terrible, but they weren't good either, right? And then we lost to them when they were garbage at the beginning of spring, and now they're on a bit of an upsurge. I don't trust us. I don't trust us. I think it's gonna be an Immortals win.
Wow. Dang, you guys have put me in a tough spot here, because, I mean, like you, Nox, it's just been a real downward turn for the team. And again, yeah, Immortals is, like, on an upswing. Right now, I mean, with Golden Guardians having gone on a 6-game loss streak, Immortals just needs to have a decent weekend, and they have some tough opponents in C9 and CLG and us. But like, there's a real, like, Golden Guardians doesn't have it easy. They've got EG, TL, and then I guess they've got Dignitas, so that should be a dub. But I feel like Immortals can really pull something out. But here's where I'm going to disagree with you. We should have beaten them earlier this split. That should have been a win. It should have been a win. We all know it should have been a win. The team knows it should have been a win. We should be 8-7 right now and tied with Cloud9 for 5th place. So I'm going to go with a Fly win here. I'm hearing something beeping. I don't know if it's in my house or someone else's house.
That's not mine.
Maybe it's yours then.
It might have been my smoke detector. I know my girlfriend is cooking food right now, so.
That sounds like it's yours.
Or maybe it was like somebody backing up outside. Who knows? All right.
No. I'll tell you what it is. It's FlyQuest. Burning in the background.
No, cooking up a hot draft in the oven. That's what they're doing. All right, TSM. This one I actually, for some reason, I feel way better about than the Immortals game. I'm going with a fly dub here. I don't know why I added an apostrophe there. I'm going with the fly dub. I don't think TSM is good. I think they should have stuck with. I know Seoul asked to go down to Academy, but I think they, what was the point of bringing Solo up? You're not making Worlds. You're not even gonna, do anything in playoffs. Just let Seoul keep playing on LCS and give him that stage experience. So, and also they hired a coach who scams his own players. So, and then gets perma-banned from competitive League of Legends for the rest of his life. So, I mean, that's the kind of org that we're going up against. So, unlike them, we hire people who don't get competitively banned for the rest of their life. So, easy fly dub here. Gonna be easier than the Immortals one, that's for sure, but still a fly dub. Nox, are you predicting the 7-11 split, or are you predicting an 8-10? What's it gonna be?
I'm kind of tempted to go full on Doomer here. But
and I thought I was Doomer Toes. Maybe it's Nox Doom this week.
So I will say I'm probably in a bit of a salty mood right now after watching the FlyQuest Academy. This was a bad.
This
time
isn't
to do this
Academy.
podcast.
This isn't Academy. All right.
I know.
Forget what they
I gotta
did.
separate the two. This is a bad time to do this podcast. I'm still like upset. I'm not gonna go full Doomer. I do think FlyQuest will take this. TSM has not looked that good. But they're also, with the way we're looking, I'm not comfortable in this either. So mark me down for a fly win. That's what I'm putting into my pick'ems. But
yeehaw!
I think it's more of a fact of I don't think we're that bad that we're gonna go 0-3, but I don't think we're going 2-1. And this is the one that we're gonna win.
Well, there it goes. Curly, finish it off for us, please.
Yeah. This is a surprisingly tough one for me because I'm trying to look at who TSM's dubs are against, and one of them is against us. Two of them are against Immortals. Another one is against TL, I believe.
Yeah, TL and then Golden Guardians, right?
And the other one is Dignitas.
Oh, Dignitas.
So the fact that three of those are to Immortals and Dignitas, it's whatever. It's the fact of the other two that I'm trying to figure out whether I'm scared or not. I'm going to be confident, and I'm going to be cocky here. I'm looking at the TSM roster. This, another new roster they finishing out the split with.
Another new roster.
I think it's going to be a gap across the board. Every lane should be better than their lane opponent. And all we need to do is respect our opponent and play smartly. And we should be fine. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if just for shiggles we got barred onto Afro Mood just to say, haha, F you, Chime.
Now that would be a time.
That would be a hell of a time. So yeah, I think it should be fun. In fact, I think it'll be oddly satisfying to watch Philip just bully solo a little bit.
There you go. Well, there you have it. Those are our picks this week. Curly and I with the 2-1, predicting the 9-9 finish, and Nox with the 1-2, predicting the 8-10. But all of us predicting probably 6th place and playoffs. Maybe if there's a miracle and C9 completely collapse, we could sneak out a 5th. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll have plenty to talk about
quick
come playoffs.
What's up?
I do want to ask, just because we'll know obviously by the end of next week before we do our next show, but who would you guys rather play in playoffs? Cloud9 or CLG? Or even Team Liquid.
I mean, I would have to see how Super Week goes, but if you were to ask me right now, based off of like recent results, I would actually pick Cloud9. However, I don't think it's going to be them. So, okay, I think it's actually between CLG and TL. I would rather play CLG. I know that sounds a little crazy, but we did beat them once this season. So it's not out of the question. We have not beaten Team Liquid this split.
And the game yesterday was actually very close.
Right. It's not like the Team Liquid game, we got rolled. Slowly, but rolled. The CLG game, you tweak a few things, tweak a couple team fights here and there, and we win that matchup. So I'm hoping we get CLG.
I'm gonna concur there. I'm like in anticipation of us hopefully 6. I would rather have CLG finish 3rd so that they face us, because aside from yesterday when it was close, like I just think when it comes to a best of 5 that we would do better. I think like our squad would just perform better than the CLG squad in the best of 5. I think another slight thing that technically helps us with that is we already kind of had the experience with that against EG back in the spring, whereas CLG didn't. So we've got that tiny step up on them, so we'd be a bit more prepared for it. There you go.
Well, I agree with you guys. I would also pick CLG.
But we're gonna face Team Liquid if we finish 6th. It's just how it is. So maybe hope for the crash and burn from C9, so we can be the 5th seed and face CLG.
Exactly. All right. That is the Super Week preview. Let's get into the final topic of the night. The one good thing for FlyQuest this weekend.
The wonderful thing.
The wonderful thing.
Actual Smash Bros. These
Smash Bros. I tweeted out a picture, a screen grab from their matchup, but Jmook and Kadoran, fantastic results at Wave Dash this weekend. We do need to acknowledge, did not get the dub, but 2nd and 3rd, fantastic stuff. They played each other in winners finals. Jmook won that. Kadoran then had to face Hungrybox, who just looked, once he got knocked down to losers, he just went on an absolute tear. You know, smashed Mango, smashed Kadoran, beat Jmook twice. I think in double 5 set.
It was
5 match
double
sets.
best of 5s. Yeah. And they both went all the way.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, hats off to HBox, but obviously the focus here is on Jmook and Kadoran, who literally did what we asked of them to do last week. If you'll recall, we basically said
Kadoran overperformed my expectations.
All of our expectations.
Kadoran like way overperformed. Like I was basically like Kadoran needs to get top 8, and Jmook I was like top 3, and they both did that. And Jmook was literally like a couple percentages away from winning. You know, the whole thing. Like he straight up was so close to winning the first. To winning both best of 5s.
It was like the last stock in the first one for HBox, and then when a boss gets low on health, so they just suddenly get way better at the game. He just activated that mode like out of nowhere.
HBox just has this uncanny ability to turn it up when he's on like his last legs or something like that. So, but I really looked really good. I was able to watch most of top 8 last night. Both guys looked great. Go watch the Jmook Kadoran matchup because it was very fun. And the HBox Jmook Grand Finals and then the Grand Finals run back, the reset, were probably some of the best sets I've seen in a while. Just super entertaining, very close, and just a lot of good fun all around. So great to see. I hope they can carry the momentum forward into future tournaments. I forget exactly what they have next coming up, but I'm sure we'll be able to get into it. But yeah, really, really good. I don't know if you guys have any other things you noticed from those matchups, but I was very pleased with what I saw this weekend.
No, I was extremely happy with. Like I said earlier, and like you were mentioning earlier, I think we all said Kadoran, we expect you to be top 8, and I said it would be great if you could make top 4, and man made it to top 3. Damn it!
Yeah, there
Perfect.
you go.
Love to see it. And then I said I was just going to be content if J-Mook could have another top 4 performance. He went and outdid that. He finished second, and he came damn close to a first. So this man will eventually get a title. It will happen. Like, he's so freaking good. It's unbelievable.
Next time, HBox won't switch out his controller.
Yeah,
we won't. We won't get into that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get, because I'm not well versed in the Smash scene. I don't know if that's appropriate or not, but that seemed real messed up to be 50% damage onto your character. I'm granted on the first stock, but then you pause the game and do a full reset just because your controller's not working. I don't know. It just it leaves a bad taste. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, a little funky there. So we'll see.
But hey, still a valiant effort from J-Mook despite that.
Absolutely. And it came really close and just shows what he can do. And hey, what good posture can do. So let's get a good posture.
Honestly, yeah.
Good posture check for everyone in the chat, please.
Look, did you see him? He was so composed and cool the whole time.
Yeah, his emotional composure, his mental composure is unlike anything I've ever seen from a Smash player before. It's just, he's so, like, unfazed by anything that happens. Although I did notice, like, when HBox threw the chair, he was a little like, what the? Which, to be fair, I think anyone would be a little surprised by that. So, all right, I do have one more quick topic, quick fantasy update. Curly going up Road Roller in finals this upcoming Super Week. So we'll see who wins, the host or the longtime listener. And then, yeah, is this a run back from spring?
It is. It's a run back from spring.
Oh, there you go. And then Nox and I are in losers finals, going for 5th place. So
place. That's the main thing.
Yeah. So not fighting for last place. That's from longtime listeners TMB and Ricebox. They'll be duking it out there. But that is all I have there. I continue to absolutely fail at pick'ems, by the way. 4 and 6 this past week.
You both had a bad week.
Yeah, Nox, you're ahead of me now. I'm doomed. It's cursed. Yeah. I can't do it anymore. Like, the league is unpredictable at this point.
It's a tough scene for sure. So,
although I will say, I don't know who. So just to shout him out, DC Daz. To give you an idea, the average score for this week in pick'ems was a 5. A 5. And then DC Daz over here had a perfect week with all 10 picks correct.
That's nuts.
Like, how? I don't know. Like, and I checked. This man had his picks in before first game on Saturday. Like, there was no cheating. Like, I don't know how he picked 10 correct picks this weekend. I'm mind blown.
I mean, like, looking at the results from this week, like, the picks that he would have made are not, like, crazy surprising. Like, the one that is surprising is maybe, Dig beating Immortals. And
even that's not that far out there.
And then TL beating EG, little surprising. CLG beating C9, little surprising. But, like, that's what you're trying to do in pick'ems, right? Is, like, you're trying to find the ones where you're like, this could be an upset, and you go against what everyone else is going, and you're one of, like, 20% who make that pick, and that gives you a big advantage.
Yeah.
So, hey, big points to
what
DC
What really
Dallas
sucks is that particular individual did not play week 1. If that person played week 1, they'd actually be contending for first right now.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Man, I wish there was, like, some kind of, like a best ball system, like I think is that a golf thing? But basically, it's like your best run of play. Like, if you had, like, if you only were in for, like, 5 weeks in a row, like, you could do, like, the best 5 weeks, average for people. So, I don't know. Something to think about. All right. That is all the topics I have. Do you guys have anything to chat about before we close down the night?
New merch.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
new
fly.
merch.
It looks really, really good. I'm waiting for my next paycheck, and I will probably be getting the summer shirt and shorts. Or, hey, hopefully, win that giveaway on Twitter.
There you go. There is a Twitter giveaway for all the merch.
I'm really hoping to win the Twitter giveaway because I for reasons that I'm not going to say on air, I do not have money to buy any merch right now.
I just
be like that.
If you're in the Discord, you know, but I'm not saying it live on air.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. It's because he just had to like pay $10,000 in bail money because he got arrested for
Sandy.
You know, pick'em corruption. It's a real thing, and the U.S. justice system really does not look kindly upon it. Here's you know what? This would have been the better joke. Knox, I didn't know you were part of the LDL match fixing scandal recently. I mean, that would hang on, I've got an even better one. Knox, I didn't realize you loaned money to Peter Zhang too.
Okay, we're done.
Oh, all right. That's it.
Sandy out here with the triple barrel shot.
Oh,
Jeez.
man. There we go. All right.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to the show tonight. Appreciate the support, as always. If you missed this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. It'll also be here on Twitch. Audio version will be on your favorite listening platforms as much as possible. And coming in at the last second buzzer, Sandwich with the Prime 3 months now. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it for the sub. Always appreciate the love and support. Be sure to follow us on Twitter. Super Week this weekend, so definitely going to have a lot of commentary and thoughts as we fight for 6th, hopefully for 5th place. So you can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, where I usually tweet reaction memes of some sort to wins or losses. Myself at Santos DB, Knox at Knox War with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. If you are listening to the show after the fact and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode almost every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Knox, any final notes, shoutouts, plugs, etc. before we wrap up the evening?
Keep an eye out for next week's show. I know why, but I've got a feeling it's going to be a banger next week.
It will be a banger show next week. Curly, how about you? Shoutouts, plugs.
Damn.
Shout out to Curly 6 Beats.
Yeah, skirt. No. I'm gonna say shout out to Fiend and Tara for some beautiful merch. Like, I already plugged it, but like, seriously, like, they always kill it. And I know everyone gives Fiend the spotlight a lot, but like, Tara, if you notice, does a lot of the illustration stuff and is like very unsung. So give Tara/Doggos the credit that they're due.
You could say she's been a Tara in the up.
Oh my god.
All right.
I would also like to shout
let's
out,
end the show.
Knox's retirement effective immediately.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's already
man.
causing us to lose viewers. So, happens. All right. For me, trying to think about what's happening. Fantasy football is coming back, so that will consume my life once again. Trying to think about what's going on. Oh, well, it's my birthday tomorrow, so that's pretty cool.
Happy birthday, Sandy! What the heck, bro?
So that's pretty dope. I'm turning an indeterminate age that you cannot know. No doxing allowed on this platform.
It's just because he doesn't want you to know that he's 54.
You called me out. All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got. We'll be back next week to discuss the final week of LCS and preview FlyQuest Academy's Proving Grounds match against one of Cincinnati Fear or TSM Academy. So, for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios!
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.